Hi, it's me, Bob, again. It's been a while since I've made a video. I did want to come back and talk about something that I've sent a lot of my people via email, and that's this Star of Jacob. I've been looking around the internet, and there's a lot of people talking about it. It's really fascinating. It's a star, it's a comet that hasn't been in our solar system for thousands of years, and it's going to be visible on September 27th, about the same time that the UN is meeting, and they're having their special meeting on global government, and the timing is incredible. But I did want to talk about something that some of the people are not talking about, and that's something that we have been talking about a lot at my site. Macron is the Antichrist.info. Yes, I do believe that Emmanuel Macron is the Antichrist, and I make no apologies about that. If you two want to study what we've been studying for at least 7 years, go to my site. Macron is the Antichrist.info. I've been watching videos on Orthodox Jews talk about this Star of Jacob. And a lot of the other videos, of course, Christian apologetics, Christians that are into Bible prophecy are talking about the Star of Jacob, likely, what I would usually be talking about from a Christian perspective. But I want to look at it from a Orthodox Jewish perspective because um, when this star takes place, and what we believe might happen is that the time of Jacob's trouble, Daniel's 70th week, will start, and Israel will go into that 7 year tribulation period. And all of this, of course, will be focused on Israel, focused on what the Jewish people are going to see. And we need to look at it from their viewpoint. But before I say that, I want to talk about. I watched this video from this Orthodox Jew, and just mentioning some of the things that he talked about were a cave. He gets this from the Zohar, which is not a biblical book. It's a book, what's called the Kabbalah, that the mystic Jewish people read. It's really mostly a lot of nonsense, but there's a lot of historical stuff in there, and stuff, as I said, that the Orthodox Jews look at. So when the Daniel's 70th week starts, we have to look at it from the viewpoint of Israel and the Orthodox Jews, the Sanhedrin, what they're going to be looking at. And a lot of the things that this particular video with this Orthodox Jew talks about, as I just said, he mentions a cave. And if you follow my site, you know exactly what I would say that cave is. It has to do with the Copper Scroll, which along with Bill Salas, uh, Psalm 83 are two of my favorite subjects, Psalm 83 and the Copper Scroll. And both of these obviously will help Israel. The Copper Scroll, if you're not familiar with it, uh, basically, and I'll just tip on the high point here, will return the Ark of the Covenant and all of the Solomonic treasures, which will obviously be a tremendous, tremendous important boost to Israel in rebuilding their temple. So to me, there's no wonder that they're talking about a cave. I don't know what cave they're talking about, but of course, I'm biased toward that cave in Qumran that they know has trillions of dollars of gold and silver. We've talked about it ad nauseum about what's in that cave and how it's going to benefit Israel. But could this be the cave that these Orthodox Jews are talking about? And if they're talking about it now without knowing about scriptures, and that cave does produce the Ark of the Covenant, well, they're just going to say, well, we've known this because we've read the Kabbalah, we've read the ancient Jewish books, and it talks about that cave. So this is pretty much what they're going to take as scripture because it's going to be fulfilled with the return of the Ark of the Covenant in that cave. They mention Rome, and you know how important Rome is going to be. They talk about a world leader, and we know that world leader to be the Antichrist, and they don't seem to indicate that this is going to be a righteous world leader, that this is going to be an unrighteous world leader, which would fit the Antichrist perfectly. So again, talking about some of these points, and there's more I'll get into. They talk about the number 70, which we know is a very biblical number. They talk about the temple, and when I say they, I'm talking about the Orthodox Jews. Again, we have to look at it from their viewpoint. They're talking about the temple. They're talking about the destruction of the Dome of the Rock by an earthquake. So all of these things that we know from studying Bible prophecy, or we know from following my website, these Orthodox Jews are talking about. And if all of this stuff does come true, then they will have their non-biblical Kabbalah and their writings to look back and say, you know, we knew about this stuff. They're not going to go back to the Old Testament, especially not back to the New Testament. So it's all going to be backed up by their writings, which is some of them is called the Kabbalah, which the Zohar is part of that. Um, so, and also don't forget September 27th when this comet, this star of Jacob, is supposed to be seen on Earth. It's been traveling for thousands of years and it will be seen on September 27th. And as you know, I've recently changed my mind about Mystery Babylon. I think it's going to be the UN. And on September 27th, the UN is going to have a very, very important meeting on instituting global government, which happens to fall again, as I just said, on September 27th. Now, I'm a big Feast of Trumpets rapture guy, and this year in 2024, the Feast of Trumpets will take place on October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It begins on the 2nd and will end on October 4th, which I believe, and a lot of other people believe, will be the rapture. I can't quite figure out yet how all of September 27th fits in with the Feast of Trumpets, because this September 27th um, Star of Jacob and the UN is about a week before the October 2nd, October 3rd Feast of Trumpets. So it's a little strange to me, and it's strange because I don't quite understand it at this point. I'm sure it will become clear, or hopefully will become clearer as the days progress. But I mentioned the Copper Scroll, which is big, and I mentioned Psalm 83, which we could be going into any day now. If you're familiar with the Star of Jacob, it has to do with numbers. I forget the exact number 714, which talks about the star. Um, it talks about Moab. Now Moab is Jordan. By the way, the Copper Scroll happens to be in Jordan. One of the reasons why I'm a big fan of Psalm 83, because once Jordan ceases to become a state due to the Psalm 83 war, Israel will be able, or the Antichrist will be able to go into that cave, him and his people, recover the Ark of the Covenant and present it to the Sanhedrin. Um, I forgot where I was. But oh, the Psalm 83 talks about Jordan. Jordan is in the news recently. Today is Friday, and they're talking about Jordan becoming seriously involved in what's going on with Gaza and Lebanon. That Jordan might be one of the countries that will get involved in forming another front against Israel. I've said this for years because Bill Salas has mentioned that Jordan, Moab, will be one of the countries that will be destroyed due to Psalm 83. And as I started to say, Psalm 83, we could be just hours away from the Psalm 83 war. Israel, from what I understand, is ready. Some of the people, the military, the IDF, the leaders have said that any minute now they could be going into Lebanon, into Hezbollah territory with a ground incursion, which will probably result in other proxies joining Hezbollah. We know about Isaiah, where Syria, which happens to have been in the news recently, they found a chemical factory in Syria, which could lead to Israel nuking Syria because of that chemical factory. Maybe there's more chemical factories that need to be hit. But something will cause Israel probably to nuke Damascus. And Damascus is in Syria. Syria is in the news. Jordan is in the news. One of the other countries that Bill Salas talks about in Psalm 83 is Egypt. Egypt has been supplying Hamas and Hezbollah with weapons for a long time. So Egypt is no friend of Israel, even though Egypt and Jordan currently have peace treaties with Israel, but that's not going to come to anything once Israel goes into Hezbollah territory. So all of this is really starting to come together. The meetings in the UN, this Star of Jacob, Jacob's trouble begins when Daniel 9:27 is signed by Macron. Another interesting coincidence, if you will. So don't forget about Psalm 83, which is a piece of the puzzle that a lot of prophecy people are missing. I always say to the people that are talking about Ezekiel 38, 39, that I will donate to any charity that they want, that they name, if they can explain to me how uh, how Israel will be dwelling in peace and safety without walls or gates, because that's what will have to happen in order for Ezekiel 38 war to take place. It specifically says in Ezekiel 38 that Israel must be dwelling in peace. And I see no way that that could happen without the Psalm 83 war. If you could figure out a way that Israel will be dwelling in peace without Israel destroying all of their near neighbors, please let me know. I have no clue as to how that prophecy can be fulfilled without Psalm 83 taking place. So look for Psalm 83. As I said, today's Friday. This war could take place any day now. If the Star of Jacob is to take place in September 27th, then I suspect that the Psalm 83 will be pretty close to being over by that time. So, which means that Psalm 83 war needs to start happening pretty soon. So look for that to happen. Again, the Copper Scroll, another piece of the puzzle that a lot of Bible prophecy people miss. But really, the most important thing is to start looking at all of these pieces of the puzzle from a Jewish, Israeli, Orthodox viewpoint. because that's what's going to be taking place very shortly. It's not what we think it all means, it's what Israel thinks it all means, because they're going to be the one to sign that peace treaty. They're going to be the one that worships the Antichrist. They're going to be the one involved in all of these wars. Now, we know, of course, that the rapture will take place shortly, and we know all of what that entails. But start looking at it from an Orthodox Israeli viewpoint, because that's what's going to happen after the Ezekiel War and the Psalm 83 War. I believe that the Jewish Sanhedrin will be the government that will be in control of Israel. They are ultra Orthodox. With the return of the Ark of the Covenant, the building of the temple, it's going to be their time. It's going to be Israel's time for that 7 years. God has prophesied in his word that the last 7 years will be the time of Jacob's trouble, and all of this will be around Israel. So start looking at it from an Israeli Orthodox Jewish viewpoint and see if you can fit the pieces of the puzzle together, Bible prophecy pieces of the puzzle, looking at it, as I said, from an Israeli Orthodox Jewish viewpoint. Again, if you want to follow me, go to my website, macronistheantichrist.info. You could learn a lot more about what I've been talking about. Okay, thanks.